Welcome back. With the sea washing away more of their village every year, residents of the Alaskan town of Shish Maref may soon become the first refugees of global warming. But what can they do to stop the sea?
"12 miles across the water from the village of Shish Maref,
we're heading to the relocation site.
there is a spot on the Alaskan mainland that will eventually be the new Shish Maref.
So did the village have any say in picking this site?
They had a real big say on it. It was mostly, maybe they listened to the elders mostly when they decided where they're gonna move Shish Maref. Because some of them actually didn't want to move out of the island, the elders.
Wow. That is really something.
This is the first time that Minnie Olana has seen this place.
Different, got to get used to it, you know, because it's big area, not just a tiny island.
That's right.
Yeah,
It's a totally different feeling, I would assume.
it would be.
After debating their options, the people of Shish Maref decided there was really only one option: to move their village to a location their native corporation already owns.
Yeah.
They want to stay as close as possible to the island where they currently live, somewhere uninhabited, where they wouldn't feel like they were encroaching on anyone else, where they could retain their identity as a distinct community and culture. But escaping to the mainland doesn't mean they will escape the impact of global warming. Surveyors are already testing the soil at the new site.
Why are they testing? To see if it's...
See how far the permafrost is, I guess. It's not very...
To see if we're losing it then.
Yeah.
To see if it's starting to melt.
In the village, the permafrost is already melting and blowing away. Permafrost is a layer of ground that never thaws. But now, the combination of ocean waves and warmer temperatures is scattering it in fine grains all across the island whenever the wind blows. You'd think the villagers would be pretty tired of seeing their home blowing away with the breeze. But if I've learned anything about these people, it's that they know how to make the best out of the worst.
Okay.
We'll just slide it over the...
Okay, easy.
Well, there goes your...
Okay. Yep, there.
Okay, hold
I'll
on.
just check
That's
that
okay.
later.
Wow.
The erosion of the permafrost could translate into big money for Moses Kayatelek. That's what exposed the mammoth tusk that had been hidden in the ground for thousands of years.
I wasn't expecting
Moses
to be that
found it
heavy.
and believes it could buy him a couple of new snow machines or all-terrain vehicles he can use for hunting.
If I took it down to Seattle, put it on auction, I brought it around over 30.
30,000?
Yeah.
This process is happening where the erosion is occurring, and you're literally losing land
We
and
are.
losing your community, and yet you're making these incredible discoveries that are very valuable.
Yeah.
That must feel strange.
Well, it's strange, and yet
That's the attitude that has surprised me more than anything since I arrived here.
The word that
The sense that no matter what happens, things will be all right.
Gonna be pretty village place. Yep, gonna be cool to move here. So open and so much room. I mean, big.
Minnie Olana doesn't seem distressed at all.
When I go
In fact, she's thrilled at the idea of picking a spot where her new house will sit. But then, maybe it's not as hard to leave your old home and move to a new one when someone else is paying for it. It's estimated that the cost of moving Shish Maref to the mainland will be around $180 million, paid by the people of the United States. I think it's our responsibility to keep villages and cultures viable, but once again, Melissa and I reach opposite conclusions. She believes that Native people in Alaska have gone out of their way to establish an identity that's separate from the state and federal governments. They've even created corporations that may contribute to global warming by leasing native lands to oil companies.
Who's to blame for climate change? Whose responsibility is it for the villages? Because I've talked to Alaska Natives who don't want anything to do with the U.S. government, but at the same time they want the money from the U.S. government. So it doesn't make sense. I mean, they want millions of dollars being spent so they can move their entire village, but at the same time they don't want any connection with the state of Alaska.
Regardless of who pays, Shish Maref could be just the beginning. Engineers are monitoring other coastal communities in northern Alaska that are beginning to experience the same problems seen here. Moving communities isn't cheap, especially in the most remote regions of Alaska. So when Shish Maref does move, it may have to move in phases.
What we're actually looking at now is developing perhaps a seed community with just a few buildings and a few houses where a town might settle in a new location, and then other agencies would come along behind it and start installing the power plants and the water supply systems and the other things necessary for our village.
I think us younger generation, we think that way, you know, that it would be better.
Sure. Minnie Olana says she could be living in the new Shish Maref by 2009. But only a few feet from where she and her relatives are picking salmon berries and Eskimo tea, I nearly step off the edge of a newly eroded cliff.
Oh my goodness, look at that. And look, you wouldn't want to go any closer because this is about ready to give way right here.
It's clear that even here on the mainland, the permafrost is melting and eroding.
But the difference is here, you can keep moving back and back. You're on the mainland, whereas out there, once you're done, you're done. You're underwater.
Nothing's impossible.
Part of Lucy and Inguwak's job is to make sure the world knows what's happening to her community.
The Shish Maref is right here.
Lucy chairs the Shish Maref Erosion and Relocation Coalition. Today, she's got a Japanese TV crew in her office. Shish Maref has become big news, the canary in the coal mine of global climate change.
It's very dangerous and very alarming to go through the annual storms that we'll be getting.
What's your guys' names?
When the idea of moving Shish Maref to the mainland was first proposed, one of the most compelling arguments was that it might be the only way to give the children of the village an opportunity to continue their Inupiat lifestyle. But like small villages elsewhere, Shish Maref faces the problem of young people eventually leaving home for greater economic opportunities in cities like Anchorage and Fairbanks. It's already a struggle to pass along Native traditions to children exposed to other lifestyles through satellite TV and the internet.
Our younger folks, they like that pizza, TV,
Right.
ball games. Well, that's part of life.
That's one of the most difficult dilemmas here. Erecting barriers and seawalls will buy some time for the people of Shish Maref until they can move their village to the mainland. But does it make sense to spend nearly $200 million to save a village that could be doomed by social forces even more powerful than climate change?
It's a dying place in many ways, I see. And not just that the houses are falling into the ocean.
So what happened to the 200,000? That was it. It was either for moving the cemetery or nothing. No money.
No, that was passed on.
When Clifford Waiawana told me the story about the museum that wanted to spend $200,000 to move Shish Maref Cemetery, but didn't have a dime for the people actually living here,
It's a beautiful setting.
it showed me just how difficult this issue is going to be in the decades to come. It seems everyone has a different idea about what can be saved, or what should be saved.
They don't want to lose this place. This has been their home for generations. They're tied to the place. The place has made them who they are. But their lives revolve around the rhythms of nature, the seasons of life. And the seasons are changing for them. and ultimately for all of us.
The story of the Inupiat people who may be forced to give up their village and way of life due to global warming. Thank you for watching and see you next time on Witness.